Hey guys, and welcome to Coffee with Carda, where we will talk all things music and life with the amazing people involved in our industry. We will chat about our experiences, where we are currently at in our careers, and how we're looking to grow and leave our mark on the industry. I hope you enjoy the show. Let's get straight into it. All right, guys, welcome to episode 5, Coffee with Carda. Today we have another unreal guest, someone who I'm very much looking forward to speaking with. Producer who has started his own production company called MSquared Productions. He's a songwriter signed with Mushroom Publishing and an unbelievable guitarist, worked with amazing artists such as Aloe Blacc, Galantis, I believe, Casey Barnes, who has had number 1 here in Australia on the country charts. So there's a lot to dive into this episode. I'm very excited to welcome the legend Michael Delo. Welcome, mate.
Thanks for having me, man.
No worries at all, dude. Well, dude, let's get straight into it. Like, where did it kind of begin for you? Because I want to talk about your production companies you've like just built and it's gone, great guns, MSquared. And then I just want to talk about all these sessions and just pick your brain with all this knowledge that you've gathered over the years. So like, where did it start for you, music in general, as a little quick snapshot? And then how did MSquared start?
Yeah, the whole music thing started for me at, I grew up playing music in church. Week in, week out, I was a little pipsqueak, started playing guitar at 11 and my guitar teacher was the guitarist at my church. And from there, I kind of got the experience of having to do band rehearsals and learn songs week in, week out and be on stage and have to play in front of people from the age of 12 or 13. That's what I was doing, which is church is a great environment for that, because it really gives a shot and gives a chance to people who are young, and are just starting out. It's a great environment, a lot of encouragement, a lot of people to help you along. And so that's where it started for me, man. And I guess from there, at the time, the church that I was going to was very gifted in music and the creative arts. And so what they decided to do is they wanted to start recording albums and music for the church. So when I was 13 was the first time that I got into a recording studio and I did a whole album. Wow. With the church band there. And that was a great experience for me because I had written some of the songs. I played all the guitars on the record. And I was just 13. And that whole experience of being in the studio, miking up the guitar amp, watching this guy record drums, watching this guy edit, record vocals, it was an incredible experience. So from then I was just captivated with not only music, but also the whole production and recording process. And so over the next, 8 years or so, we did a few more albums. And so the next album I was a co-producer, and I was 15 at that time. And I co-produced the album. Now, that was crazy because, at 15 to be able to produce is it's pretty wild. And now I look back at it and I see that it was a special thing. But at the time, I just loved it, And so one of the guys there at the church, he bought himself a little Pro Tools rig. And he literally on my school holidays gave me the key to his house. And he goes, man, go to my house and just muck around on the computer all day on Pro Tools. And that's what I did. And so that kind of gave me a taste of this whole recording thing and this producing thing and music. And so from there, we did a few more albums. I decided that I wanted to study music. So I went and studied at Box Hill TAFE. I did a degree. And during that time, because I did performance, I studied guitar at university. And so while I was there, all the people that I'm kind of jamming with and I'm rehearsing with and I'm doing the course with, they found out that I knew a little bit about recording and recording bands and doing all that kind of thing. And so they started to ask me, could you record my band's EP, or could you mix it, or could you do this or that for us? And I just said yes to everything. That was my attitude at the time, just say yes to everything. And so I started doing that. I started to record and produce some of the bands that were studying at Box Hill. And then from there, and this is how MSquared started, from there I kind of had some mutual friends with Michael Paynter, who's the other half of MSquared. And he kind of heard that I was doing some producing and recording. He was actually into my church band. He really liked those recordings and those albums that we're making. And so we kind of knew each other. And then I started getting singing lessons off him. And at the singing lessons, I'd bring him in all the bands that I was producing and all the recordings that I was working on. He was just like, man, it would be so great if we could produce something together. And this was now 11 years ago. I'm showing my age, but that was the genesis of MSquared. That's how it all kind of started. I just, started to bring in those recordings, and MSquared has now been going for, this is the 10th year of MSquared, believe it or not.
That is crazy, man. That I didn't know you started so young with recording, and like 13, dude.
It was wild. Hey, I really got to thank all those people from church when I was growing up, dude, because they just gave me a chance, man. They just gave me a shot,
Yeah.
Which that's so what a gift to give a young person, So that's why I really love now getting around young people in the business, and wherever I can, helping and encouraging them, because that's what I had as a young kid, man. So I know I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for somebody more experienced than me just give me a shot.
Yeah, man. That's exactly what it's about. Yeah, and the knowledge and the experience you would have gathered at that young age, and co-producing an album at 15, that's invaluable experience. Man, I didn't start producing till I didn't even start on FL Studio till I was 17, 18. And you're recording.
But that's still young, mate. That's still young.
It is pretty young. Yeah. But it's funny. Once you start and you look back, you're like, oh, I wish I started younger. But yeah, man, that's awesome that you had that. And then MSquared starts with that. You get singing lessons with Paynter. And then you start, what was the first song? Do you remember the first song you guys did?
Yeah, I do. It was one of Paynter's other singing students. It was this kid called Ash Ball. Okay. I don't know if you know Ash Ball. Do you know Ash Ball? He was doing some things back in the day. We're talking 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, Ash Ball was, just a young kid kicking around the Melbourne music scene. At that time, YouTube covers were a massive thing, and he was right into that. And so he was our first little guinea pig.
Love it.
Of whether or not Paynter and I could work together on something. That was the first official project that we co-produced.
Right.
Before that, though, we had written a song together with another artist, a guy called Josh Jack, who was one of the artists I was producing on my own when I was producing other artists around Melbourne. And he was a soul guy,
right.
And we ended up doing a song together called "Freak Some More."
Okay.
And that actually in blog world did really well. Kanye ended up blogging about it, and we ended up getting one of Kanye's rappers that's on Good Music, which is Kanye's record label. His name's Sahai the Prince. And that in underground hip hop world, that song did quite well. But yeah, that was the first one.
Unreal. And then it just snowballed from there. You just kept. Did you reach out to people to work with them, or it was kind of easy because Paynter had those connections through his singing lessons as well?
Yeah, so we did use a lot of, in the early days, we did use a lot of Paynter's singing students.
Yeah.
And also, not only that, at that time as well, Paynter was signed to Sony.
Ah, okay.
And Paynter was his own artist. And he had a platinum selling single in Australia.
Wow. Yeah.
Called Love the Fall, which had the Veronicas on it, which that's where our whole relationship with the Veronicas kind of came from, obviously, because Paynter had done a song with them. And so at the beginnings of MSquared, with all the people that knew Paynter and were plugged into his world, especially in the music business, that really gave us an in to be able to, get the attention of people in the music industry, because Paynter already had a record deal. He was already very well known in the Australian music scene. So, on the front end of MSquared, a lot of it was generated through Michael Paynter's name. That's the truth. So that was a really great head start for us, which is looking back, it really set the pace.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys, you guys produce like such a wide variety of genres. Like you guys go like pop, you obviously into your soul and church, you do like your EDM dance, you do like country. Yeah. So you guys cover like everything. Was that something that you just learned along the way, or you kind of just like working with new artists, you just like grab their flavors and you just kept learning?
Totally. The way we like to think about what we do, and I feel like there's two different kind of producers. Yeah. There's the producers that have a sound and essentially you go to them for that sound.
Yeah.
And then there's the producers that don't have a sound. They just make good music. Yeah. That's their intention. That's their brand. If you think about people like Timbaland's got a sound.
That's it.
You want the Timbaland sound, you go to Timbaland. You want that that Pharrell sound, you know what that sound is, you're going to get it. You want that Tiesto sound, you know what that sound is, you're going to get it, But then there's a whole bunch of different producers that they don't have a sound, they just focus on making great music, and that kind of spreads them out across multiple genres. So for us, our focus is always making great songs.
Yeah.
And so that's where we put our focus and attention. And because of that, we can, do country, we can do soul, we can do EDM, we can do pop. There's a whole bunch of different things that we can do because we haven't focused on a sound. We've just focused on the music itself, So that's been our approach. And I think that's definitely helped us go for as long as we've been going for, because we haven't boxed ourselves in. Once your sound's up, once your sound's no longer cool, there's no use for you anymore. You know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah, you guys don't have that issue because you're always you guys are songwriters. You guys are always writing to write like the next.
Writers first, producers second. That's the way we say it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think it's a pretty it's a good lesson to take because like I'm the same. Even like you could say, I don't know, my stuff, I kind of like I'm probably more have my own sound instead of like you guys where you have your different genres. But
you're an artist though, dude. You have to have a sound.
That's it. So but I'm the same. I always focus on the song, man. Like if the song isn't strong from the start, I'm moving on to the next thing. So I think that's awesome that you guys work with your artists and you do focus on the song and you start with that. I think it's really important.
And Paynter will tell you as well, man. It's the best part about being a songwriter and a producer, dude, that you don't have to lock yourself into a sound. When you're an artist, you do have to lock yourself into a sound. People have to know what your brand is.
Yeah.
Your brand's really clear cut. You know what I mean? People know what they're getting themselves into. If they want to delve into your world, they know it's going to be fun. They know that it's going to be dance. They know it's going to be in that genre. That's your brand. You have to have that. But that was the biggest thing that I think Paynter struggled with, and he'll tell you this on his own solo career,
Right.
is that he loved so much music, but he had to narrow himself into being something. And that's hard when you want to express yourself in so many different ways. So that's the gift that we have as songwriters and producers, is that we don't have to box ourselves in.
Yeah.
And we can really express ourselves in all sorts of ways, which is, it's fun, man. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's probably why you see so many artists, you know, taking a left turn with sounds and doing different things, because they just get, you get dried up in doing the same thing. I noticed it
100%.
all the time. Like now I'm like really opening my ears to exploring new stuff and trying to just keep it fresh, because you get pigeonholed, and like your fans and people, even when I hear a new artist, I'm like, what? That is not like what I almost want to hear from that artist. But you also understand, being an artist, that they have to do that.
Why they
have to do it.
Yeah.
And like now, and now I get it. Like being in it, you get it. So yeah, it's a funny one. So you guys are also signed to Mushroom as well with the songwriting stuff. Did that just happen along the way, or?
Yeah, so the whole journey of how Mushroom came into picture was a little bit of a stage one. So we did the first. I'm trying to think about the timeline of this now. We did the first 3 or 4 years of MSquared, slowly moving it from a part-time thing into a full-time thing.
Right. Yeah.
And we did that without any management or without any anything like that. We just did it as ourselves and just, you know, word of mouth and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We realized that we got to a point where we had exhausted our contacts and exhausted our abilities on a networking and kind of branding thing as producers.
Yep.
So we started looking for management to manage us as producers. And so there was a few people that we loved and respected in the industry. Yeah. One of those was a guy called Michael Paynter.
Yep.
And we started doing some projects for Paynter through artists that he was kind of developing and things like that. And he kind of liked what we were doing. Say it again.
Was he A&R?
He was an A&R. He does all sorts of things now. He's primarily he runs a management company called Right Hand Management.
Okay. Yep.
And he manages Vera Blue, Polish Club, a whole bunch of different artists.
Yep.
And so he was doing some great stuff. And so we really respected him. We respected everything he had done. He'd been, you know, he'd worked at One. He was head of Mushroom. He was, you know, A&R consultant for a whole bunch of different labels. And so great guy. And so, you know, he kind of said, look, we should work together. I like what you boys are doing. So that was good. So he was the first step into kind of expanding our kind of footprint in the Australian music scene.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that lasted for a couple of years, and then once we had kind of built something up there, we had a guy from Mushroom approach us and wanted to work with us, and he'd been listening to a whole bunch of different artists that he wanted to sign to Mushroom, but he started to see that, hang on a sec, all these artists that I kind of really like, they're all getting produced by the same people. He goes, and so he was like, I want to hit up these MSquared boys. And that was a guy called Tommy Faith, who's not at Mushroom anymore. He's now the head of Triple J Unearthed.
Ah, right.
And so he kind of saw something in us, and he was just, you know, more than anything, what I love about Mushroom is that they are just great people. And it's one thing to have somebody who is connected and is a hustler, but I think being a great person for us speaks more than anything else. And so Tommy was just a great person. And so what we then realized is that actually everyone at Mushroom's like that, you know, that I think that's the culture of the company. And so that really appealed to us. And so obviously Parisi had also had a lot of history at Mushroom. And so together with Parisi and Tommy, they worked on bringing us into Mushroom.
Yep.
And then Linda and Errol, who are Linda runs Mushroom now, and Errol's the head of A&R. They brought us into Mushroom and finalised the deal, and it was fantastic. And it was really sad because Tommy ended up leaving Mushroom probably about 9 months later. And, we loved working with him in that brief amount of time. But then the guy that they brought in is just an absolute superstar.
Yeah.
He's another member of MSquared, as I'm concerned. His name's Julian from Mushroom. And he's just a top bloke, and he works so hard. He's just fantastic at his job. And again, just an incredible human being, which... it just makes it a joy, working every week together, So, yeah. That's
awesome, dude. Yeah, surrounding yourself with that, with good people, good energy, man, is so important. So important. And then did Mushroom, is that how you got these new sessions? Because I want to talk about some really cool sessions that you guys have been a part of. Did Mushroom start that, or is it a bit of both? Or is it...
It was a little bit of both. We had by that stage we'd built up a good identity in Australia as being one of the guys on the writing circuit. That you would send people to.
Yeah.
This is before even a writing circuit existed.
Yeah.
We started doing this. To be honest with you, there was only really. People that were doing what we do, that co-writing, production kind of thing, it was only really DNA in Sydney at this stage when we started, So we had kind of built up that we were also those guys, and we were in Melbourne. So in Melbourne, we'd kind of built up a pretty good reputation. So people would come in anyway. But with Mushroom, I think, when people see that you got a great manager like Parisi, that gave them a little bit more confidence. And then when they see that Mushroom also is part of the team, that also gives them a little bit more confidence. So everything always scaled up as we went along. And Mushroom has been, that was the biggest reason why we wanted to sign to Mushroom, is because we just want sessions. We work every single week. We write, produce, mix a minimum of 2 songs a week. That's fully done, fully completed.
Crazy.
And so we just want to keep that up. We just want to go. We just want to work. We're not here to sit around. We want to go. We want to have sessions. We want to write. We want to do things. And Mushroom have just ramped that up in a crazy way. They're always sending us artists. They're always hooking us into different management companies, different labels, and also the whole Mushroom team as well. That they've been instrumental in really ramping up the scale and also the caliber of artists that are coming through the studio. And so then I guess some of the other cool things that have happened with Mushroom is one thing that was really key for us is that we wanted to start to expand out of Australia and start to get into international territories.
Yeah.
So Mushroom have been vital in that. And so they we just signed a new deal with Mushroom actually a couple of months ago.
Congrats.
Renewed our deal with them, and part of that was to do several international trips over the next couple of years. And this whole corona, it's just killed it, man. But to their credit, they're just marching on, and for the next 2-3 weeks, all that we're doing is online sessions with international artists, London, Germany, Amsterdam, LA. So I'm going to be living in a different time zone for the next couple of weeks, just doing night sessions on Zoom. But when we signed to them, we started going to LA once a year. And that really just opened up a whole new world to us, because we'd just been in Australia, and now we're able to, get into the whole LA scene, which has been fantastic for us, and it's exactly what we want to do.
That's sick. Yeah, it's interesting, doing a few of these podcasts, and everyone that's like kind of published. Yeah, the opportunities that come from it have definitely helped move along their career, and it's definitely opened doors to, I think it's the big one of like you said, the contacts that you have when you start, you exhaust them, and then it's kind of like, well, where do we go now? And it's like having that publishing company on board, like, just broadens that. And I guess, like, you just need to put in, like, you guys put in 3 or 4 years before, you were even thinking about publishing kind of thing. So it's kind of like you didn't just stumble across, but like you built up the cred, and you guys like put the tracks in, and like had the songs down to.
I call it our apprenticeship.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's it, man. The apprenticeship. So it's like those listening that are starting, you need to do an apprenticeship. And I think people in music, you compare to people that are already doing big things, but it's like, you got to remember that, like, even like a builder always started like doing an apprenticeship, and like did his 3 or 4 years of trade. So that's a really good one to remember, because we're always caught in that trap. Like, I was caught in that trap for so long. You just got to remember, like, just stay course, like, just keep putting in the hours, man.
It's easy to do in the business, man. It's like you're always looking on Instagram and seeing what everyone else is doing. It's just like, that's fantastic. Let it inspire you. But at the end of the day, the only thing that's really going to get you anywhere is just putting in the hours, man.
That's it, yeah.
Just putting in the hours. You just got to do it. There's no point looking at other people and wanting what they have.
Yeah.
Just put in your own hours, you know what I mean, and go for what's meant for you.
That's it. Yeah, that's important. Like, go at your own pace. Like, you don't have to go all guns blazing. Like, if 100%. It's going to burn you out, like, just chill out and do it. Like, we all got into music because we loved it. Like, as soon as it starts, becoming something that, like, we have to do, that's when it sort of becomes an issue a little bit. So back to there's a little we deviated a bit to the inspo. It always gets to like inspo, like, podcast talk where we're like, just work hard and like get the music happening. But it's good. It's good. It's important. People need to remember it, like, especially like starting off, like, it's a good one to always remember. So like back to the publishing, you go international, doing these LA trips. Is that where I've got 3 sessions here written down? I've got the Aloe Black session, which is it Black or Black?
Aloe
Black, yeah. Aloe Black session. Yeah. I think you've worked with Galantis recently.
Yeah, we did a online. We've been doing a whole bunch of online writing camps recently. Okay, and Galantis was one of the acts that the camp was for.
Right.
So all the songs of the camp were presented to Galantis to choose from.
That's mad.
Yeah. So I mean, that again is a Mushroom thing. An affiliate of Mushroom over in Germany. Right. Has been really into what we're doing.
Cool.
And so one of the acts that they're kind of feeding songs to at the moment and doing A&R for is Galantis. So, so we've got a few songs that are sitting on their inboxes, whether or not they choose them, fingers and toes crossed, because I absolutely love them.
Yeah, right. Man.
But yeah, there was a few great artists that we were all writing for on that camp, which was we'll see what happens. One of the songs in particular, I think, he's got a really good shot.
Yeah, unreal. So Galantis were in the session, yeah?
Popped in and out on that one.
Okay, so they were just going in between sessions.
Yes, they were going in between all the sessions and just chiming in and seeing how it was going and giving their feedback and all that kind of thing. So
cool. And what were you working with? Their writers or their producers or?
No, we're working with, it was a great session. We're working with, it was us two, it was a guy from Berlin and a girl from Amsterdam.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so we're all in different parts of the world and we're all on
so
the same session. It was incredible. It's actually quite hard to write on Zoom.
Yeah.
But because we've done it so often over the last few months, we've kind of come up with a way of, we've learned what works, what doesn't.
Right. Cool. That's mad. And then the Aloe Black session, which
Aloe Black was a funny one. That was, I'll tell you that whole story because it's a really great one.
Yeah.
So we're over in LA a couple of years ago, and we just go over there. We hire an Airbnb for 3 weeks or so. We just base ourselves there, and we do as many sessions as we possibly can while we're there, because we're only there for 3 weeks at a time.
Of course.
We just cram it.
That's it.
So we had a meeting with, so our manager, Parisi, has a friend over in LA who was the LA representative for APRA.
Right, yep.
And at the time, she's moved on now to become Aloe Black's full-time manager, but she was one of his managers at the time, as well as doing APRA in LA. And so anyway, we had a meeting with her just to catch up because, she's a good person to have on the ground over there, and she kind of is there for that purpose, to help connect Australian writers in LA. And anybody who does end up going over there, please make contact with that APRA office in LA, because they're really helpful. APRA is just a fantastic resource for writers. Need to plug into everything that they do.
Amazing.
So anyway, we went over there and we met up with Lani, and then we were downstairs having a coffee, as usual, and we're about to go because I said, I'll send you a link. She was like, I really want to hear what you guys are doing. We just connected on a personal level, as people. Yeah. She's a fantastic human, and we just got along really well. She didn't have her speakers there because obviously we were downstairs at the cafe, and I go, we can send you a link or whatever. I go, have you got any speakers in your office? And she's just like, yeah, but I'm so embarrassed. My office is a mess right now. And it's just a little shoebox in this big commercial kind of building in LA. And I said, I don't care. Let's just go. We'll have a listen. We'll have some fun. So we're about to leave. And I just said, no, let's just listen to some music. We've come all this way. Let us play you some stuff that we're working on. And so we went upstairs, and I played we played her some stuff that we had worked on back in Australia, and also the sessions that we had done while we were over in LA. And when we were in LA, we do two sessions a day. So we'll do one in the morning from about not every day. I'd say half the trip is 2 sessions. The other half is probably a session a day. Yep. Every day while we're there, 3 weeks straight, no days off. Yeah. Wow. And so we went upstairs, played her a couple of things, and I played everything. I played her some hip hop stuff that we did, some EDM, some country, some soul stuff, and she was just really shook. Really? She was just like, "Whoa, this is really good." She goes, I would love for you to do a session with Aloe while you're in town. And then me and Paynter didn't want to embarrass ourselves and get too giddy, but we were just like, oh, well, yeah, we'd love to do one with Aloe while we're in town. So she's just like, okay, leave it with me. Let me see what I can do. I'll be in touch with Parisi. And so we kind of left it in that. And then literally the next day she got in touch and she wanted to put together a session, but it was going to be, at that stage, the only way that we could make it work was for it to be the 3rd session of the day. Oh. And so we ended up starting our session with Aloe on, it was about 9 p.m. Yeah. In this studio in the middle of nowhere in LA. And all we did at that stage there was we just wrote on piano and his voice. Because we're exhausted, we'd already done 2 sessions. We got no more beats, man. We got no more tracks. Yeah. We're just, let's just write a song. Let's just focus on writing a song. And I think that's that right there was a great example of why just focusing on a good song and doing that for so long really came in handy on this particular session. And so we did that, and so we just wrote a song and just got his vocal and that piano.
Right.
Anyway, he got in touch with us the next day and just like, I really like that song. I really want to submit it for this movie that I know they're looking for songs, which was The Green Book, which ended up winning an Academy Award for the best movie that year.
That's it, yep.
And so he did, and he got feedback immediately from Universal Pictures. And they said, we really love this song, but the deadline for the music was last week. Oh. And right now it's just his voice and a piano.
Right.
And they're like, when can you get it finished? And so this was Monday we wrote the song. Wednesday, Universal Pictures are saying we really like the song.
Wow. Yeah.
And Paynter was leaving to go back to Australia on Friday.
Oh God.
And we already had sessions all the way booked in. And so by the time, we submitted the song to Universal Pictures on Wednesday, and then on Friday, is when they got back to us. Lani calls me up, and she's like, Universal Pictures really want the song. The deadline for the music was last week. Oh. When can you get it done? I go, Lani, the Paynter's leaving tonight back to Australia. I go, but I'm sticking around LA just because that was my first time to America at the time. And I said, I can maybe do it tomorrow if you can find me a studio to work out of. And so it was Friday night that she got in touch with us at about 5:00. And she was up all night trying to find a studio in LA for me to work in.
Wow.
And Paynter was jumping on a flight. So the next morning she had it all organized, got me a studio in LA. I go, Lani, I'm going to need like some guitars. I'm going to need some like bass things. She like organized the hiring of all these instruments, Got them to the studio and organized the studio, organized the instrument hire. And while I was there, and so anyway, I ended up going to the studio 10 a.m. that morning. And while I've been in LA, that trip there, I made some really great friends with some fantastic singers. I called them up, singers. I called them up and I said, guys, I need a choir for this song. It's a husband and wife. I said, can you guys come in? They left their pool party that they were at with their friends. They came to the studio for a couple of hours. They laid down their vocals. I got the whole song. So remember, all I had was his voice.
That's it.
And a piano. And I built all the music, 10 a.m. I ended up leaving the studio at 4 a.m. the next day.
Wow.
And I got the whole song produced, mixed, sent it, and then Universal Pictures were like, this is really, really good. And like at that stage, we had our fingers and toes crossed. We're like, this could actually happen. Like we could actually have an Aloe Black single and a song for a movie.
Yeah.
Which it never happens like this, man.
Yeah.
This is such an anomaly of how it works. And so a couple of days later, I get back to Australia and Universal Pictures like, this is really cool. We want it. So Mushroom and Universal Pictures and Aloe Black and our manager, they're all fleshing out the deal, and then a month later we were signing a contract. So from the day that the song was written to the day that we're signing a contract was a month. Never happens like that, man. Never happens like that.
What a whirlwind story!
But that was an incredible experience, man. I love that. That was such a moment for MSquared. It was definitely something that was big for us, and just the whole way it happened, man. It was just, I'm a big God believer, and I think that was just a God moment. Just God, just giving us a little boost there, man.
Yeah, dude, that's sick. That is a story and a half. That is why we did this podcast for stuff like that. Like that is mad. That's just like all the pieces aligning and like it's such a combo of things, good people. And were you with the Aloe, with like when you first got into that session, were you a bit like were you a bit like, do you just play it cool? Were you a bit like subconsciously you're like, shit, like this is, or were you guys just like this is like a big deal, or were you just running on adrenaline because you had already done 2 sessions and you were like,
we were definitely running on adrenaline, man. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. We were zombies.
Yeah.
But also an attitude that we always have, dude, is that we have to be great. We have to do well. And it doesn't matter who it is, man. It can be the first time an artist has been in the studio in Melbourne, or it can be Aloe Black in the studio. No doubt there's that added kind of pressure on yourself that you really want to perform when it's an artist of that caliber.
Yeah.
No doubt it was there. But we always put pressure on ourselves, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
We feel like whatever we're working on today is going to be the last thing we ever do, so it better be good.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
It can never be average. It can never be good enough. We really put the pressure on ourselves that it's got to be great. Because one thing that we've learned, dude, you never know where a song ends up, honestly. And so if you put out something with your name on it that's crap, you never know if it's going to end up on the desk of the head of Universal Pictures, man, and you know what? You just blew your shot.
Yeah.
You know? And so all we had was a piano and a vocal, but we made sure it was a great vocal, it was a great piano, and it was a great song.
That's it.
And, you know, whatever it is that we're doing, man, we just put the pressure on ourselves that let's make it great. It can't be good enough. It's got to be great.
That's good, dude. It's great. You set the standard so high, and it's just held you in good stead. It's just like going into a sports match and you've just set your standard so high, then you get to the grand final. It's kind of like, well, you know, like this game's, you know, just like any other game, because it's like...
That's right. The grand final can't be the game where you decide to be a good player. You have to be good every single game, week in, week out.
Consistency.
And then that's what gets you to the grand final.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's mad, dude. That's a really, awesome story. I was going to touch on as well, you've worked with Casey Barnes, an Australian country pop artist. He's gone #1 here on the country charts. Like that's
so he's
to Aloe, like country and soul. Like
he's killing it, man. He's doing a great job. We started working with Casey Barnes probably about 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we helped really shift his sound from being a country artist like every other country artist to being a country artist that's really at the forefront of the new wave of country.
Cool. Yeah.
And he is obviously a great guy. We get along really well, and we've just been developing his sound and the big shift on his new record, A Town of a Million Dreams, has been that he's now being signed to Chug Music, which is an absolute juggernaut powerhouse of Australian music. And so we've been working with them on his album and making it great for the market. And so, #1 Australian country album in the ARIA charts. Currently at the moment, the #1 song on country radio 4 weeks running. Previously to that, there was his other single. His previous single was, I think, 6 weeks #1 on country radio. And then the previous one to that, I think, was #2 for a while. And there's a new single coming out as well pretty soon, which hopefully does well.
That's sick,
so he's smashing it.
That's unreal. That's so cool. I was just going to, just to tie in all these sessions, we've kind of already touched on it, but what do you notice, like good sessions? Like what are things you notice, like traits and things in a good session? Or, what are some things that should you prepare for to make a good session? Like just for artists kind of up and comers, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I think have some ideas is always great. if you got to something prepared, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That can be a song title, that can be a concept of a song, that could be perhaps a chord progression if you're instrumentally inclined, a little riff, whatever it is. Come in with an idea, come in with something to say. That's really important. And the best kind of attitude to have is a spirit of collaboration, man. Be open to every idea. One thing that I've learned to be true is try everything, and the best idea will always reveal itself.
Yeah, I like it.
Be really open to things. You just never know. Something might sound whack at the time when somebody's presenting it, but it could really work out. And I'd also say when you're in a writing session, don't be scared to say a dumb idea.
Yeah, right. Don't hold back.
Because it actually might be a dumb idea, but it might actually
trigger something else.
Trigger something else in the room.
Yeah.
The amount of times that's happened is ridiculous, and I'm the biggest. I'm the biggest culprit of it because I know that it works. I'm the biggest culprit of spitting out a lame idea. I know it's lame, but I know there's something in it that will get us somewhere.
Yeah.
So don't be shy. Don't think that everything that you say and contribute to the session has to be amazing. Just your energy and your thoughts can really trigger a great idea, even if it's not necessarily exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's super important. And you can go in your shell and because you get embarrassed. It's like you don't want to be the person in the room. It's like, oh, like I look like an idiot here. But if you can put that aside, man, you hear that all the time with good songs. Like how many times like that would happen? There's just countless songs that would happen.
Totally, man.
So yeah, awesome.
The greatest writers are the ones that get past their insecurity, I think.
Yeah, it's a great call. Great call. Yeah, I agree, man. Well, I don't think I have much else here. I've got like, what does it mean to work hard and smart in 2020? Like advice for up and comers, but we've kind of dived into that. And I think just listening to your podcast, like, you guys like just go hard on the sessions, and you guys, your standard is so high, and you go hard on the sessions. And was that, I mean, even starting out, was that your mentality starting out, or was it more like let's just like learn and like let's build up the bank kind of thing, and like, tick off a song and not put too much pressure on ourselves? Was that?
No, we always wanted to go hard.
Yeah, it's good.
We just always wanted to go hard. We just love it. And something, I mean, now we have, and you've been there, Carda, to our studios in Oakley.
Yeah.
One thing that we've always been conscious of is that we're competing against everyone. And I don't want to use competition in a negative way, but in a way that keeps you on your toes, keeps you sharp.
That's it.
And one of the greatest things that happened for us is when we set up our studios in Oakley, we ended up setting up a couple of studios. And so we have other producers and writers in the other studios that we've set up. And can I tell you, every single day walking down the halls, hearing the great music that they're coming up with, it makes us go in our room and say, man, we better write a good song today because look what we're up against. You know what I mean? It's not in a sense of wanting to beat someone, but wanting to beat ourselves, wanting to be better.
You're getting, it's like,
so that's something we've always been conscious of. Yeah, 100%.
It's a great call, 100%. Man. I think, competition's thrown around in such a negative light, but in how you've said it, like getting inspired and seeing what other people are doing and thinking, all right, like I'm gonna now go smash it. Like, and it's also one of those things, like if you hear someone is doing that, you're like, well, if they can do it, like I can do this. It's like this is achievable because like they've done it. And it's like, even that in itself gives you the confidence to keep going. It's like, well, I can find that sound then. Like there is hope, So that's awesome, dude. Well, yeah, man, we've covered so much. We'll wrap it up there, but thanks heaps for the chat and diving into your experiences and insight and all your tips and tricks. It's been really cool. Love
no, dude, thanks for having me, and good on you for doing the podcast as well and everything that you're doing, dude. Obviously your music's fantastic.
Thanks, dude.
I just wish you all success with it, man. I just want the momentum to keep going for you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's what we're all doing. We just help each other out, and we just keep building, and end of the day we're all doing it because we love music. So it's and you meet awesome people on the way, and it just makes it easier when you're surrounded and you're with like awesome people. It's just it's really cool, especially in these times when you you feel kind of alone, and you just it's great to reach out to friends and contacts you have to keep that good energy happening. So thanks again, dude. You can for those listening, you can follow Delo on Instagram, Mike_Delo_, which I wrote that down. I loved it. I was like, underscore, we love the underscores. And MSquared Productions at MSquared Music. You've listened to Delo here, and you can tell he's always open for listening to new music, and if you've got a question to
Oh yeah, just hit us up, man. We listen to everything. I respond to everyone. Everybody deserves the dignity of at least a response, man.
That's it.
I hate people that never get back to you.
Yeah, that's it, man. So if you guys, anyone's got a question on production or anything, hit up MSquared or hit up Delo, and they'll get back to you. And man, thanks again. I feel I'm grateful that we've had this chat and we've gone through some of your insight. So thanks again, dude. Thanks so much for listening to Coffee with Carda. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can check out my music on Spotify by searching Carda, and feel free to reach out to me on Instagram @Carda Music on what you thought of the episode. I'll see you next time.